Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This evening we have a special guest, Collin Ruiz, and Collin is a nutritionist. She's got a website which is located at
holisticnutritionfood.com.
holisticnutritionfood.com. This evening, Collin is going to describe for us and explain to us about, of all things, the gut, how to maintain and restore a healthy gut.
Exactly. One of the most important things is that an unhealthy gut is not just about gas, bloating, or stomach upset. That when you have an unhealthy gut, this can look like anxiety, depression, even autoimmune diseases like arthritis or Hashimoto's, which is actually a thyroid disorder.
So, Collin, explain to us, when you're talking about the gut, exactly what is it that you're talking about here?
So the gut is actually the whole tube from the mouth to the anus. So the mouth, the stomach, small intestine, and large intestine. So that is the whole gut. And what is really fascinating to me is that things that go through the gut are actually on the outside of the body. You do not want particles of food to go through that barrier unless they are fully digested and properly, then they can be properly absorbed. So we actually have two variables that contribute to a healthy gut. The gut flora, the bacteria that lives in the gut, as well as the barrier itself.
So the gut flora. All right, tell us what the gut flora is.
So the gut flora is the bacteria that lives in our bodies that we need. It is what makes our body happy. So what is, again, very interesting is that we have 10 times more bacteria in our gut than all the cells combined in your body. So if you added up a picture or made a picture of all the cells of your brain, your skin, your bone, your muscle, you would have to have a circle 10 times bigger to include all the different varieties. There's up to 400 diverse strains of bacteria that live in the gut.
Okay, so Collin, you're explaining a lot about bacteria, and there's so many cells of bacteria and all these different types of bacteria. What does this bacteria do? Why does our body want to have this bacteria?
Well, it's really a symbiotic relationship. I mean, bacteria helps us digest our food as well as assimilate the nutrients of the food. So we do not want to destroy the gut flora. And so there are, unfortunately, many things that harm our gut flora. Things like antibiotics, things like ibuprofen, drugs that treat chronic pain, and even stress. So it's not just eating foods that are bad for your gut, like high sugar, refined carbohydrates, and a lot of alcohol. Those are all things that can contribute to harming your gut flora.
So clearly, there's lots of sugar in alcohol. It sounds like to me that what you're saying is the enemy, or at least one of the enemies, is sugar.
Yes, absolutely. And the more refined our food is, the more sugar content there is in it. So you want to eat more real food. The less steps it has from growing in the ground and to your mouth.
So what I'm hearing about all this refinement, I used to not even understand what that meant. What is refinement? It's all the extra, especially sugar and especially salt, that goes into our food to preserve it. So it's good for preserving the food, but it's not good for our bodies, and it's certainly not good for our gut.
Absolutely. And it's not just the refining and the processing of our foods, but it's what's happening with GMOs when they alter the chemistry of the. So what I want to do today is talk a little bit more about the gut barrier, and then what can we do to really maintain a healthy gut.
All right, what do we do? What do we do to maintain a healthy gut?
So the gut barrier, remember, it's not just the gut flora, but the gut barrier itself. And the term leaky gut syndrome that is in the news quite a lot these days, is because some foods and drugs and other things can cause the barrier to be permeable. So substances that aren't supposed to pass into the body end up passing through. And our bodies end up having an allergic reaction to that. And it's not the same kind of allergic reaction you would get if you had, hives or a rash. But the symptoms of that allergic reaction can be anxiety, depression, and these other chronic illnesses.
So it sounds like to me that part of what you're saying is that sugar is not helpful because it messes up the flora in our gut, and that malfunctions in our gut can cause things that we didn't even associate. I certainly didn't associate with your gut, like anxiety and depression. I just don't think about those having to do with your gut. So what do you do about all of this stuff?
Well, first you avoid the things that harm your gut. You avoid, overuse of antibiotics.
Okay.
That
makes sense. Antibiotics kill
gut flora.
Kill the gut flora. And
Yes.
you don't want to kill the gut flora.
Right, exactly. And there's a lot of antibiotic herbs out there that might kill bad bacteria, but they don't cause resistant strains of bacteria, and they're much healthier for your gut, for the healthy bacteria that's there. So once you are avoiding the things like antibiotics, too much alcohol, sugars, then you start including those real foods in your diet every day.
So we're having this discussion about a healthy gut, and we've talked about some of the things that probably most people are doing to achieve an unhealthy gut: sugar and processed foods, and even non-prescription drugs like ibuprofen. So Collin, talk about what it takes to restore a gut, and then what it takes to maintain a healthy gut.
So really there's two things, because you want to restore the flora, the bacteria, and so really the best way to do that is take the supplement form of probiotics. Because probiotics are all over the news, they're on everything now. There's Good Belly, there's, instead of vitamin water, it's probiotic water, But the best way to get your probiotics is really through supplement form, because you can get more of them. And if you remember, there was 10 billion cells of bacteria in the gut with over 400 diverse strains. So you want to get all of those strains, as many as possible. And when you're having tea with probiotics in it, you might just be getting one. Even yogurt only has 2 or 3. And then you want to address the gut barrier. And there's a very simple thing that you can do, is eating sesame seeds and raisins together. So after the last meal of the day, 1 tablespoon of sesame seeds and 1 tablespoon of raisins. And you just chew it very well and swallow it, and you're healing your gut. So once you're healing your gut, you're using probiotics, then it's about maintaining that. So eating real food, less processed. The less processed, the better. Simplify your diet using fresh fruits, vegetables, and grains, and meats.
That sounds great to me. And easy enough that I can get a handle on it and do it. We've had this interesting discussion about all of the things that most people do to mess up their gut, and several things that we can do to help make our guts better. Wrap this all up for us, Collin. Summarize for us the top few things that I can get my head around that would be helpful in restoring my gut and maintaining my gut.
So first, it's avoiding the things that cause harm.
Okay?
So avoid antibiotics when you can.
Avoid antibiotics.
Avoid processed foods.
Avoid processed foods.
Keep your diet simple.
Something about avoiding sugar.
Yes.
Okay.
Sugar, alcohol, refined carbohydrates. Include the real foods. Vegetables that you can eat raw or cook minimally.
How about steaming?
Steaming is awesome.
Steaming is good.
Yes.
I'm into steaming. Okay.
Yes. Steaming, stir frying, one of the best ways to get more
I like it.
greens into your diet besides a salad. And then you have to remember that we're trying to maintain energy, sustain energy over time. So plant proteins, eating more protein doesn't have to be just eating more meat. Getting a good grain like buckwheat, high protein seeds like hemp seeds. Adding those to your meal can make it a high protein meal. Keep the blood sugar low and keep it simple.
I like it. Collin, you're clearly an expert in the field. You have tons of knowledge about this. How can the folks out there, how can I find out more about what you have to offer?
Well, I have a website, holisticnutritionfood.com, and I have a calendar so you can see when free talks are coming up, because I'm really passionate about this, really passionate about helping people raise the level of their health, reach their goals so that they can be healthy and happy, vibrant physically and mentally.
Works for me. Sounds great. Tell us your website again.
holisticnutritionfood.com.